It was evening on the Sea of Galilee. The sun was slowly setting, painting the sky with shades of orange and gold. After a long day of teaching, healing, and serving the people, Jesus turned to his disciples and said, "Let's go over to the other side." The disciples nodded, ready to follow. They climbed into a wooden fishing boat, leaving the large crowd of people on the shore. The lake was calm, the breeze gentle, and everything seemed peaceful. Many of the disciples were experienced fishermen, so to them, this short trip across the lake felt simple. As the boat drifted across the still waters, Jesus, tired from the day's work, laid down at the back of the boat and fell asleep. His head rested on a cushion, his face calm and full of peace. For a while, the journey was smooth. The disciples talked quietly, watching the ripples of the water in the fading light. Some worked with the sail, others guided the boat, while Jesus slept soundly. But suddenly, everything changed. Out of nowhere, a strong wind began to blow. The peaceful sky darkened as heavy clouds rolled in. The calm water turned violent. Waves rose high, crashing into the boat. The gentle breeze became a roaring wind that howled across the sea. The disciples, who had sailed this lake many times, quickly realized the storm was no ordinary storm. The boat rocked fiercely, water splashed over the sides, and soon it began to fill. They tried bailing the water out, shouting instructions to one another, but the waves only grew bigger. Their voices trembled with fear. Imagine the scene: rain pouring down, lightning flashing across the dark sky, thunder shaking the air, and the small wooden boat tossed about like a toy. Some of the disciples gripped the edges of the boat. Others pulled at the ropes, trying to keep control. Their hearts pounded with fear. It felt as though the next wave might be their last. And in the middle of all this chaos, Jesus was still asleep. He lay there in perfect peace, resting while the storm raged. Finally, the disciples couldn't take it anymore. They rushed to him, shaking him awake. Their voices were filled with desperation as they cried out, "Teacher, don't you care if we drown?" Think about that moment. They had seen Jesus heal the sick, give sight to the blind, and even cast out demons. But here in the storm, their fear seemed stronger than their faith. Jesus slowly rose to his feet. He looked at the storm, and then with calm authority, he spoke just 3 words: "Peace, be still." Immediately, everything changed. The roaring wind stopped. The waves settled down. The clouds broke apart. In an instant, the raging storm became complete calm. The lake, moments before wild and dangerous, became still as glass. The disciples stood frozen in awe. Their mouths hung open, their eyes wide. They had just witnessed the impossible. One minute they were sure they were going to die, and the next they were standing in silence on calm waters. Jesus turned and looked at them. His voice was gentle but firm as he asked, "Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith?" The disciples could hardly find words. They whispered to one another, "Who is this? Even the wind and the waves obey him." In that moment, they began to understand something greater. Jesus was not just their teacher. He was Lord over all creation. The sea, the storm, the wind, and the waves all obeyed his voice. And this story carries a powerful lesson for us today. Just like the disciples, we all face storms in life. Maybe not storms on a sea, but storms of fear, storms of sickness, storms of worry, storms of doubt, times when everything feels out of control and we don't know what to do. In those moments, we often feel like the disciples, afraid, overwhelmed, and asking, "Lord, don't you care?" But the story reminds us that Jesus is always in control. The storms of life may be bigger than us, but they are never bigger than him. When fear rises, faith can anchor us. When we call on Jesus, he brings peace, not always by taking the storm away instantly, but by calming our hearts and reminding us that he is with us. So, the next time life feels like a storm, when the winds of worry blow and the waves of fear crash, remember the boat on the Sea of Galilee. Remember the voice that spoke to the storm. Peace, be still, and know that the same Jesus who calmed that storm can calm the storms in your life too. No matter how fierce the waves, no matter how strong the wind, you are never alone. Jesus is Lord over all, and with him, there is always peace, even in the storm. Thank you for joining this story. Don't forget, faith over fear, always. See you in the next episode.